Hello friends, welcome back to your UPSC. Today in Geography of India, we are going to continue with natural vegetations and wildlife. In today's lecture, we are going to complete natural vegetation. So let's get started. As we have completed the distribution of forest and classification of forest, now we will look into forest products. As we all know that forest constitutes one of our major natural resources. Okay, so it is major natural resource of India. Okay, why it is major natural resource? Firstly, it provides us with wood. Okay, so wood, it is basically used for our industrial purpose, then as a raw material, then as fuel. Okay, so wood is very important product of forest. Then other things like we have grasses, bamboos, canes, oils, etc. Many things which we get from forest. Okay. Now according to the forest product that we get from forest, these forest products are classified into two categories. Okay. So the first category is major forest product and second one is minor forest product. So major forest product, it constitutes of timber, small wood and fuel woods. Okay, and these fuel woods also include charcoal, etc. Now the forest, they produce about 5,000 species of wood, out of which approximately 500, like up to 500 species of these woods are commercially important. Okay, they may be used as softwood, hardwood for making furniture, matchsticks, etc. etc. But these 500 species are having commercial value. Okay, so Indian forests, they give us both hardwood and softwood. So in hardwood, we have some species such as teak, mahogany, logwood, ironwood, ebony, sal, greenheart. Then we have kikar, etc. Now these woods, they are used for making furniture, they are used for making tools, wagons, etc. Then we have softwood. Softwood, it includes devdar, pine, poplar, fir, kedar, balsam, etc. And these softwood, they are light, strong and fairly durable, as well as they are easy to work with. Okay, so they are useful for constructional timbers. Okay, and they provide useful raw material for making paper pulps, and they are also used for making decorative items, matchsticks, etc. So these are major forest products. Okay, then we have minor forest products. Minor forest products, they include all the forest products that are obtained, okay, excluding woods. Okay, so woods are constituted in major forest product, else all the other products that we get are included in minor forest product. So these minor forest products are grasses, bamboos and canes. So these, we have different type of grasses that grows in different part of country. Most of these grasses, they are used as fodder or for thatching, okay, etc. But some of the grasses, they are used for matting and as an important raw material for manufacturing paper. Okay, so we have some important grasses like Sabai grass. Okay, Sabai grass is a important grass, and it is provided as a basic raw material for paper industry. Okay, then we have this type of grasses growing in sub-Himalayan tracts, Bihar, Odisha, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, etc. Okay. Now the other is our khas grass. Now khas grass is actually the roots of this khas grass are used for making cooling screens. Okay, used for making cooling screens. Then we have munj. Munj is a tall grass which is used for making stools, chairs, etc. Okay, so we have sabai, we have khas, then we have munj. Okay, so these are the three grasses. Then we have bamboos. Bamboos, they also belong to grass family, but they grow like a tree, and they are woody, perennial, and tall. Okay, some of the bamboos they attain the height of 30 meters, and we have like about more than 100 species of bamboos growing in Indian forest. Now, major species that are grown, they are found in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Arunachal Pradesh, Karnataka. Okay. Now, bamboos, they are also known as poor man's timber. Okay. So why they are known as poor man's timber? See, the for roof and for furnishing, we use mainly hardwood as a timber. But in poor families, the roof of the houses are constructed by the help of bamboos. Okay, so bamboos are used as cheap materials for roofing, walling, flooring, matting, basketry, then cartwood, and other things. Okay, now apart from this, bamboos are also used for like making paper pulp, for packaging, and various other purposes. Then we have canes. Canes grow abundantly in moist forest. Okay, so we find these canes in forest of Andaman Nicobar Island, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, Maharashtra, Nagaland, Manipur. Okay, so they are mainly used for making strings, ropes, mats, bags, basket, furniture, and umbrella handles and sports goods, etc. Okay, so these were grasses, bamboos, and canes. Now, other thing that we get is tents and dyes. Tents are used for leather industry. Okay, they are actually secretion of plant tissues. Okay, so they are used for tanning in leather industry, and the most commonly used tanning materials are obtained from the trees of mangroves, amla, oak, hemlock. Then we have flowers of dhauri, babool, etc. So they secrete some products. Okay, some products which are used for tanning in leather industries. Then we have dyes. Dyes are obtained from red cedar, then care, then fruits of uh, Melotus papilinus. Okay, then we have these flowers of Palas are also used for dyeing. Okay, so tans and dyes are also obtained from natural tans and dyes are also obtained from forest. Then we have certain oils. So oils, we have large number of plants and trees which grow in India. They contain several type of oils which are used for manufacturing soaps, cosmetics. Then we have pharmaceutical preparation and many more things. Okay, some of the oils they have high medicinal values also. Okay, so some of the important oils are obtained from like sandalwood, lemongrass, khas, eucalyptus, etc. Okay. Then we have gums and raisins. Gums, they are exuded from stems, and other parts of different trees. Okay, they actually sometimes come out as a natural process, and sometimes they are oozed out by the injury in bark. Okay, so as we cut the bark of the tree, some product or some gel like structure they come out, they are gums. Okay, now the important most important gum is crya. Okay, crya, they are obtained from trees of dry deciduous forest. Okay, so the trees are S. villosa. Okay, S. So these trees they actually excrete crya. This is the name of the gum which is extracted from this species of tree. Okay, now this gum is usually, it is mainly used in textile, cosmetic, medicinal use, inks, paste, and other things. Okay, Madhya Pradesh is the largest producer of this gum in India. Okay, then other producers are like Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, including Telangana. Okay, Gujarat, Karnataka, they also produce this gum. Now, large portion of Indian gum it is exported to USA, UK, and France. Okay, so our gum is exporting product. Now, talking about raisins, raisins are actually obtained mainly from pine, which is grown in Himalayan region in Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, and some part of Punjab. And they the raisins they are separated after distillation. Okay, turpentine is a raisin which is mainly used as a solvent in paint, varnishes, then pine oil, etc. Raisins are important raw material which are used in several industries like paper industry, paint industry, then soap, rubber industry, etc. Okay, then next we have fibers and flosses. Fibers they are obtained from the tissues of some trees. Most of such fibers are coarse and they are used for making of ropes. But there are some fibers like fibers of arc. Okay, AK arc. They are fine, strong, and silky. They are used for making fishing nets. Okay, flosses they are obtained from certain fruits. On the other hand, if we look at flosses, okay, flosses they are obtained from certain fruits and they are used for stuffing pillows, mattresses. So you must have seen that raggy thing in mattresses. So they are actually flosses which are obtained from forest. Okay, they are also used in as some of the materials for plants, like expensive plants to grow. Okay, the next important product that we get from forest is leaves. So there are various type of leaves that are obtained from the trees and plants in the forest, and these leaves are used for many different purposes. We have many leaves, but the most important leaf is tendu leaves, which is used as a wrapper for bidis. Okay, now these tendu leaves they are grown in Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bihar, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, etc. So we have various leaves, and these leaves are actually exported along with bidis in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and some other Asian and African countries. Okay, then next is our drug, spices, and poisons. So we actually get thousands of drugs which are obtained from forest, flowers, and root stems, or any different part of trees. Okay, so quinine is the most important drug that is obtained from Indian forest. Then talking about spices, spices actually are used for adding aroma and flavor to certain dishes. Okay, then we have important species of spices like we have cinnamon, we have greater cardamom, badi ilaichi, choti ilaichi, lesser cardamom, etc., which are obtained from forests. Okay, they are also grown in form of plantation crops, okay, as cash crops, but they are also obtained from forests. Then next is poisons. So Indian forests produce some poisonous substances which can act as good medicines when taken in small and regular amount. Okay, so some of the poisons are like we have ganja, dhatura, acon, aconite. Okay, they are some of the poisons. The next important product is edible products. So edible products like fruits, pulps, roots of various trees like mangoes, then we have bear, bale, jamun, etc. So they are obtained from forest. Now some of the valuable fruits like dry fruits like we have cashew nut, walnut, then we have mushrooms, amla, imli, etc. They are also found in these forests. Lastly, we have animal products. Animal products, like one of the most important animal product is lark. Lark is actually obtained from forest. It is secreted by a minute minute insect, which is known as Laxifer, Lacifer laca. Okay, so this is the name of the insect. It secretes lark, and lark is used uh, for medicinal purposes in making plastic, electric insulators, dyeing silk, making bangles, etc. Okay. Now this tree that on which this insect it grows. So we have trees like peepal, palash, then we have bear tree. Okay. So these trees are important trees on which these insects grow, and they secrete their um, secretions, which is plaque, and it is important for various purposes. Now, Chota Nagpur Plateau, we have these plants, these forest trees that grow. Then we have Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand, Karnataka, Punjab. They are actually producing lark. Okay, and lark is exported in USA, Russia, Germany, and UK. Okay, so these were the forest products. Now these were the direct uses or direct benefits that we get from forest. But apart from these direct uses, forests have immense influence on men in indirect ways also. Okay, so now we will talk about their indirect influences of forest on men. So the first influence or first use of forest is prevention and control of soil erosion. Okay, so forest, it actually plays a significant role in prevention and control of soil erosion. Now this soil erosion may be from wind or maybe from water, whatever, but if trees are present, then they help in binding the soil, and hence they actually act as a burden, act as a barrier to for water to carry soil with them. Okay, now the next influence is flood control. Okay, so it controls flood in two ways. Okay, first is when the river it overflows during rainy season. If the forests are growing, then the soil will not be eroded, as well as the root of the trees will absorb much of the water of the river and rain. Okay, so they act as holder or rain banker. The trees also, they act as million of tiny dams, and they check the flow of water like a barrage. Okay, the next is check on desertification. Now, because of wind erosion, okay, or the sand particles, they are blown away by the strong winds in the desert, and they are carried over long distance. Okay, so consider if this is the area of desert. So because of wind, the desert is spreading. Okay, because the sand is carried further. So after few years, we will see that the area of forest has expanded. But if we have forest growth in here, okay, so if we have forest growth in here, then we will see that these winds, they won't be able to carry the sand further. One reason being the forest will act as a barrier. Okay, then second reason is actually the velocity of wind will be hindered by the obstruction of plant or trees. Okay, so they will check on, they actually check on desertification. The next is increase in soil fertility. Now the fallen leaves of the trees, and then the secretion of animals that are residing near trees. Okay, so they actually, they are decomposed, and they make, they add humus to the soil. Okay, so this humus, it actually helps in increasing fertility of the soil. Then last but not the least, we have effect on climate. So forest, they have far reaching effect on climate. Okay, they actually ameliorate the extremities of the climate by reducing the heat in the summer and cold in the winter. How? See, because of trees, we will have shades. Okay, then another thing, they help in water cycle. Okay, so next is they also influence amount of rainfall by lowering the temperature and of moisture laden winds. Okay, and they also increase relative humidity of the air through the process of transpiration. Next is they actually retard the process of evaporation by reducing the velocity of surface winds. So that is how they majorly affect the climate, and there are also various indirect influences on climate by forest. Now these were the direct and indirect uses of forest, but this is not actually practically happening. Why? Because of deforestation. So human is actually cutting down a load of forest, a huge area of forest, for settlement purpose, for raw material. Okay, so because of that, the uses of forest is not, we are not gaining so much from the forest now. Okay, now what are the basic problems that are faced by Indian forestry. So the first basic problem is, or the first basic challenge is inadequate or dwindling forest cover. It is actually the biggest problem of Indian forest. Now, it is a parameter, it is a parameter that every country should have at least 33% of its area covered with forest. But in India, we only have 20.6% of area covered with forest. And this forest cover, this small forest cover, is also seriously threatened by increasing demand of major and minor forest products. So, to satisfy the growing needs of increasing population, we are cutting down these forests for getting their products. Okay, so this is actually decreasing our forest cover. Now, along with it, we have overgrazing as one of the most important factor for decreasing the or contracting the forest cover. Okay, the next is low productivity. Now, Indian forests are comparatively low, they produce low as compared to other countries. For example, if we look at annual productivity of Indian forest, it is only 0.5 cubic meter per hectare. Okay, while if we look at the countries like USA, so their forest product is 1.25 cubic per hectare, cubic meter per hectare. While in Japan we have 1.8 and in France we have 3.9. Okay, so in their comparison we have very low productivity of forest. Next is natural, nature of forest and their uneconomical utilization. Okay, so natural forests nature and their uneconomical utilization is another problem that is faced by Indian forestry. So the forests are actually thick, inaccessible, slow growing, and they lack in gregarious tent in many parts of the country. Okay, some of them are very thin and some comprises only of thorny bushes. So these factors they make their utilization uneconomical. Why why it becomes uneconomical? Simple reason being that there will be load of wastage. Okay, there will be more wastage than gain, and because there will be less gain, so the products will be very expensive. Okay, the next is lack of transportation facility. Now, this lack of transportation facility is one of the biggest problem that is faced by Indian forest. Because we have lack of transportation facility, that is only 16% of our forest land in India is it is inaccessible. Okay, so 16% of the forest land in India is inaccessible. We have no access to these forests. Okay, now because of this uh, uh, absence of transportation facility, we are not able to access the interior of the dense forest and get benefit from these forests. Okay, the next important problem is forest fire. Now, forest fire is actually it occurs when the large tract of vegetal cover are destroyed by fire. Okay, now fire in India is basically mainly occurring in dry seasons. Okay, and it spreads widely because we have no professionals or we don't have trained professionals to cope up with this problem. Okay, so during dry seasons, by rubbing the dry barks of the trees, we get these fire. and this fire, it spreads very fastly. Okay. The next is plant diseases, insects and pests. So actually sometime what happens, the forests, a large cover of forest, like thousands of hectares of forest, they actually are infected by a certain plant disease, insects and pest, which which leads to considerable loss of forest wealth. Okay, for example, we have in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, we have threatened we have been threatened by a problem in trees like sal borer. Okay, sal borer is a non-remedial problem. Okay, and the forest officials, they are only using primitive methods to prevent this disease, like they are hiring the tribal people to catch these insects and kill them. Okay, but this is not exactly how we can prevent the 1,000 hectare big forest. Okay, so there should be some pesticides or some insecticides which can get rid of this disease in less time, so that we don't face such a big problem, such a big loss. The next is obsolete methods of lumbering and sowing. So actually, indian forest Indian forest, we are still using obsolete methods for lumbering and sowing. And if we had a good technology for lumbering and sawing, we would have made inferior quality wood also could be made or put into better use by seasoning, okay, and some preservation treatment, etc. And they would be uh, used for great economical purposes. But because of having obsolete methods, this whole of these products, they go in waste. Okay. The next is lack of scientific techniques. This is the most important or most important problem of Indian forest. Okay. Now, scientific techniques are used in foreign countries, okay, in developed countries. By these techniques, they actually quicken the growth of forest. Okay, and large number of trees are grown in small amount of time. Okay, but because of lacking in scientific techniques, we are actually having slow and poor yield of forest trees. Okay, I left this point. This is lack of commercial forests. Okay, now in India, most of the forests, they are meant for protective purposes, and commercial forests, they are badly lacking. Because of growing awareness about environmental degradation, they we are forced to look at forest wealth and protective agents for the environment. Okay, and we are not treating them as commercial commodity, while in developed countries we have a part of forests that are left for commercial uses. Okay, so because of it, we have lesser productivity or lesser production by forest. Then the last point is undue concession to tribal and local people. So this is actually a customary problem. Okay, in it what happens, the tribals and local people, they are given certain rights and concessions for free grazing and for using timber timber fuels, etc., and minor forest products for their domestic purposes and also for commercial purposes. Some of the areas, they are also allowed to continue with old age shifting cultivation practices. Okay, now because of these practices, what happens is our forest growth is lacking, and the forest products, they are not uh, used, or they are not being used for commercial purposes, for export and, and other purposes, okay, which can give us economic benefits. So these are the problems that are faced by Indian forestry. Now, what are the remedial measures to prevent or to get rid of these problems? So some of the remedies to overcome these problems, first and foremost is afforestation. So we actually need an intensive developmental scheme for afforestation, and we can also use high yielding varieties in suitable areas. Okay. The next thing is important, this is the most important point, that is improved technique. We require improved technique, like we have in developed countries. We have scientific techniques which can grow the forest or the species they require fastly. Okay, so by this triggering growth, we can help in the growth of forest, and this can also be used for our commercial purposes. Okay, next is proper transportation facility. This is the part where India is lacking very behind. Okay, India is lacking greatly. So the proper transportation facility should be provided to the remote and inaccessible forest areas so that we can get a proper access to the interior of the forest, and we can use them for our economic benefits. Okay. Next is a proper arrangement to control forest fire. Okay. So during dry season, as we all know that every year the Indian forest they catches fire. So the officials that are in charge of this, they should be prepared beforehand. Okay. So so that the loss of forest can be decreased. Okay. The next is discouraging shifting cultivation by providing people with alternative sources of livelihood. See, as we have discussed, shifting cultivation, it actually degrades the quality of forest, as well as it actually it uh, leads to the reduction in forest yield. Okay, so this practice should be discouraged. Next is people associated with forest protection should be properly trained. Like as we have discussed, the forest fire, the professionals that are associated with this, they should be properly trained. And for all the other people that are associated with this forest, they should be properly trained. Okay. The latest method of forest production and method management should be used. Okay, so latest methods of forest production and management should be used, like we have social forestry, agroforestry, that should be practiced. We have already discussed social forestry, agroforestry in our environmental geography, so the detailed discussion is there. Next is governmental laws and policies. So governmental laws, we have various laws for forest production, various policies. So they should be abided, and government should look into more laws and policies so that the forest can be preserved, as well as it can be used for economic purposes. Okay, that can increase our export. Okay, so our export can be increased. Now, instead of apart from these, we can also uh, consider various methods for like various remedies. Like first, we can improve the quality, like sowing and lumbering technique. Okay. Next is we can educate people by celebrating various occasions like Environmental Day, Van Mahotsav, etc. So they can also help in prevention of forest. So this was the natural vegetation of India in which we have discussed distribution of forest, classification of forest, their products, byproducts, and their remedies for their prevention, problems faced by Indian forestry, and all that. Okay. In next lecture, we will study about wildlife of India. So that was all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. Let's meet in our next class. Till then, take care and have a nice day.